Hello everyone and welcome to round 4 of the Nebula rFactor Championship. We're here in Bahrain going around Sakhir International for 29 laps, 15 corners to this track, which is a mixture of high speed and slow speed corners. Braking is very difficult here, so you need to have the car set up just right for that. Soft and mediums will be the tyre compounds for today's race. Last year's podium, in fact, was Craig Baxter taking the victory ahead of Jamie Fluke and Sam Markham. Sam Carpenter currently leads the championship though, and I'll now hand you over to Justin to see who got pole position in Bahrain.
And here we are, starting a lap of the Bahrain International Circuit, reaching speeds over 320 kilometers per hour or 200 miles per hour on the straight before braking for the hairpin at turn 1. Going all the way down to first gear for turn 1 here and keeping the car tight to the inside line for the best run through turn 2. Flat out now for the run to turn 4 and up through the gears, this time reaching just over 300 kilometers an hour before braking after the 100 meter board down to second gear. Fred does an excellent job of using all of the circuit to maximize the short run to turn 6, breaking down to third gear and carrying as much speed as you possibly can before heading down the hill into the hairpin corner at turn 8. Down to first gear for the second time this lap before accelerating up the hill, only to come down it again for the tricky turns at 9 and 10. Very difficult corners here. Fred misses the apex of 10 slightly, but crucially avoids the curb at the exit. He gets a bit of wheel spin in second gear, but Fred keeps his Ferrari pointed in the right direction and accelerates to over 300 kilometers per hour for the third time this lap before breaking down to second gear for turn 11. Turns 11 and 12 are very high speed, and with a change of direction, turn 13 you've got to brake and turn the car at the same time, much like turn 10 but faster with an apex speed of around 130 kilometers an hour. Now another straight for the run towards turns 14 and 15, essentially one corner with a single apex though, up into 6th gear and over 300 kilometers an hour yet again, and then braking after the 100 meter board down once again to second gear and accelerating to the line to finish the lap, which was a 131.649.
On to the qualifying classification for the Bahrain qualifying. Fred Bodden takes pole position ahead of Craig Baxter, 2 Ferraris locking out the front row. Sam Carpenter in 3rd place ahead of Gomez in 4th. Sesmir Bernatsky in 5th position, best qualifying for him so far this season. Scott Davison in 6th in the Toro Rosso. Matt Shepard in 7th can gain a few positions from there. Ben Sale in 8th, the first McLaren on the grid. Nick Bracchi, a reserve driving, is in 9th. Crespo, also a reserve filling in today, is starting in 10th. Liam Mangan, not a great qualifying for him, ahead of Richard Taylor in the Sauber. DeWald Nell, time invalidated for the qualifying session, and Tom Martinez had to back out of a lap due to extending. Kieran Chadwick in 15th place. Hello everyone and welcome to round 4 of the Nebula rFactor Championship. We're here in Bahrain going around Sakhir International Circuit as the final cars line up on their grid positions. Kieran Chadwick and Tom Martinez starting on the back row of the grid. Expect them to come up through the field today as the race is hoping to be an exciting one. There's 3 red lights, 4 and 5 lights on now. The lights are out and we are racing in Bahrain. 2 Ferraris look to have got off to an equal start. That's Max Shepard in the middle of your screen.
And he's just about avoided the wall there.
Almost hit the barrier on the outside is DeWald Nell. You can see him making a move on a few cars coming into turn 1.
And I think he just about avoided contact there, Max Shepard. It was a very strange start from him. Like he seemed to get a good getaway, and then the second part was just. Do you think he just got a bit of wheel spin, or the launch control failed or something?
I don't know. He seemed to get off to an amazing initial start. You seen him gain a few positions. Like he went up the inside of 2 cars and then just seemed to lose it under acceleration. So I wonder if the initial phase of his start was really good, but then wheel spin started to pick up in maybe 3rd or 4th gear and he just lost the car under acceleration.
I think he's not got any damage anyway. I think he just about avoided the wall. He slammed on the brakes, so he's just about avoided getting damage, which was lucky, but he's at the back of the grid now, which is quite bad for him. But he should have quite a few battles in this race, so he might be able to pick his way through the pack.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult race for him to score points now unless the cars up front battle, as you say, because he's got to get past at least 5 cars before he can get 1 point. That's assuming no one DNFs, but we're going to just have to wait and see. As Tom Martinez has made up a few positions, he's in 9th place now, so a decent start for him, and he'll be happy with that. But he has similar pace to the 2 Ferraris up front, and he'll be definitely want to get up there and amongst the fight. So he's probably hoping that the 2 Ferraris and maybe even Sam Carpenter battle as we approach the final corner as we start lap 2.
It's interesting. Do you think the 2 Ferraris will decide to battle or just to keep position at the moment, considering that Sammy's a very quick driver? Do you think they'll keep position, or do you think they'll just battle it out?
Well, you can see here Baxter isn't close enough to make a move into turn 1. I expect both of the drivers to not battle to begin with, because they really need to just get away from Carpenter in 3rd place, I think, and then just, is that Scott Davison making a move on Sesmir Bernatsky into turn 1?
I think it is. There's quite a few drivers actually locking up their tyres. I think it's just because the brakes are a little bit cold on lap 2, at the beginning of lap 2, but as you can see, Fred Bodden is leading ahead of Craig Baxter and Sam Carpenter, so it should be a pretty good race ahead. We're already seeing a few drivers getting overtaken. As I think that's who's Bernatsky's teammate? I can't remember who he is.
That's Crespo, almost hitting the back of Crespo there. Is he going to go for a move into turn 8? No, he's thinking better of it, and you can see he's holding up his teammate here as we come into turn 10. And I don't know what you think, but he really just needs to let his teammate pass. He's going to cost him a few positions here.
Bernatsky almost went into his back a few times there. I think it was twice he almost lost his front wing on his teammate. So, and all this is basically doing it right now is just allowing Chadwick to go right past. I don't think he's close enough right for him. No, not quite. But at the moment, I think Crespo's just holding up like everyone behind him. And I think for his tyres and for his pace, he should really be letting these guys through. He's just not quick enough at the moment.
Yeah, at least let his teammate through, and then the other drivers he can hold up so his teammate can get away. But right now he's just putting his teammate in it. He's gonna cost him and his teammate a lot of positions here. He just doesn't seem to have the pace. But Bernatsky's going to make a move on his teammate into the final corner, but they're side by side here. I think he's finally got the move done, but that's allowed Kieran Chadwick up the inside, and I think he's got a better run out of the final corner as in front of both of the drivers.
I think that problem there in the last corner, I think that's cost Crespo probably 2 positions. Like Chadwick, there's going 3 wide into turn 1 now, and I think Chadwick's actually got 2 positions there. Yes, he has. Is that Bernatsky going around the outside of Crespo there?
Bernatsky's held the position, but talking about teammate battles, here's Tom Martinez on the inside of the Waldnell coming into turn 4. I don't think he's making it too hard for him as he lets his teammate go. Martinez now up into P5. That's a really good start for him. Now he's just got a few more positions before he can get onto the podium, and as we've seen, the Waldnell get an amazing start. We'll finally get a replay of it. You can see his initial launch was almost perfect, hardly any wheel spin, getting a little bit in second gear, and the drivers just seemed distracted by Shepherd spinning, and the Waldnell just seemed to capitalise on that.
They just seemed to open up the inside and just leave him a space, and he was just, okay, thank you very much, I'm just going to take those positions. So it was a pretty easy start for him, to be honest. He got a really good launch, and that was probably the best part of it. You're going to see a replay here of Shepherd's start. He's going to disengage launch control about no, and you can see the first part of the launch was really, really good, getting past 3 drivers already, but he's just lost it on the second part. He slammed on the brakes just about to avoid the barrier, but it was a really weird start. Shepherd's had really good starts all this year, really, and that's been probably his first bad start this season.
Well, as you said, it was a good initial launch, and it really looked like launch control maybe disengaged or even failed at the point as we're on board with Gomez here. In 4th position as he almost lost the car and into the wall. That's a mega save from the Argentinian, as Martinez though gained the position up into 4th place now. He's going to be hunting down Sam Carpenter. You can see in the distance he's not that far away either, and Gomez, he's in between a Mercedes sandwich at the moment. The Waldnell's not close enough, but he might be coming into turn 1 on the end of this lap, or the start of the next lap anyway. And you can see up front the 2 Ferrari drivers are just starting to edge out a gap from Carpenter in 3rd place.
As we're on board with Ben Sale now, he's behind Shepherd and he's got a really good run out the last corner. I'm not quite sure if he's actually got the straight line speed. It might be because Shepherd's actually got his engine in a higher boost mode, but he's looking down the inside. He's not quite close enough for a move as Shepherd locks up his brakes. I think that is that Bernatsky in front of Shepherd at the moment?
Yeah, that looks to be Bernatsky in front of Shepherd, so he's lost a few positions. Must have made a mistake as Chadwick's going up the inside of Scott Davison for P7 and into turn 4. So Chadwick carving through the field, but not as well as Martinez has earlier on. You can see, I think that's actually Waldnell up next for Chadwick, so he's definitely lapping fast, and he's definitely got the pace to possibly get onto a podium if there's a few mishaps up front. but he needs to get past the wall nail, and he certainly won't be making it easy for Kieran Chadwick as we see the drivers battling into turn 10. You can see a lot of people actually locking up coming into this corner. It's a really technical one because the corner dips down and you're actually turning and braking at the same point, so to not lock up, it's really, really difficult here.
Yeah, but you're looking back at the battle between Shepherd and Crespo now, and I think Shepherd just forced him into a mistake there. It didn't really go down the inside, like didn't really brake late, to be honest, but it was just a move, like he forced him to go wide, and Crespo went wide, obviously because he locked up. But you see a McLaren going off track there. Did he just carry too much speed through the corner, or did he lock up? I didn't quite see.
You've seen a few drivers going wide there. You've seen, I think it was Nick Brackey earlier on the first lap of the end of the first lap of the race. You've seen him run wide there. So a lot of drivers having issues with maybe brakes overheating or just tyre wear at this point, because we're on lap 5, but you don't think drivers should be suffering from now. It should be a one stop here unless people are bad on their tyres. Is that Crespo going for a move on Shepherd into turn 1? Both drivers locking up their wheels. He's going to go for the cutback though to get the run out of turn 2 and 3 and up the hill towards 4. He's almost lost. He's managed to keep it going and almost lost it again. So
he almost put it in the wall, and then he got a big tank slapper across the outside of the circuit there. You're looking back at the battle between DeWald Nell and Kieran Chadwick here, and it's looking to be a very good battle between these two. I think they're very similar pace, even though DeWald Nell, this is actually his first race for the league. He is a reserve driver for this race. And I think DeWald's actually struggling a little bit, maybe with the brakes. I think Kieran's definitely got an advantage on braking at the moment. But definitely looking like a very close battle between these two.
Yeah, Chadwick's showing him the door into this high-speed left-hander. As we go uphill, there's a bump in this corner. You need to watch out because it upsets the car before this long right-hander. This is really hard to follow the car in front because of dirt air. And as you said, Nell seems to be locking up the brakes a lot, so he's definitely not having a straightforward race.
Inside very soon there. Was he defending?
Does he think the cars behind them are closer than what they actually are, or does he have an issue?
I'm not sure, because he might have had a bit of oversteer the last corner, but I think DeWald Nell's actually...
He's doing it again.
He's going to the inside very early, so he might be thinking that the slipstream's a bit more OP than it actually is, but I think Chadwick has made a move on DeWald Nell into turn 1. It was a very easy move, as DeWald actually made a mistake over the last corner. He went a little bit wide onto the dirt, and it just cost him momentum onto the main straight, but we're on board with Sam Carpenter here as he follows Craig Baxter and Fred Bodden, the two Ferraris leading out front. He's not really gaining too much time at the moment, but he's not losing too much time either, so he's just staying in this spot where probably he's 2 or 3 seconds behind, where he's not really doing anything at the moment.
He's currently 2.8 seconds behind Baxter in front and 3.8, so Baxter's actually dropped behind Bodden on the last lap. He lost near enough a second on the last lap, so I wonder if he made a mistake or he's actually dropping back intentionally to drop out the dirt air.
Yeah, he could be dropping out dirt air to save his tyres a little bit, because there's no real... It's a long race, so there's no real need to really attack at the moment, as we're only on lap 6. I think Craig will probably do his attacking maybe during the latter part of the race after the first pit stops. He'll try and win the race then, but at the moment there's no real point in doing that. The only real competitor really is Sam at the moment, so yeah, we'll probably do battling later in the race.
Yeah, that's the sensible thing to do. You don't want to battle at the beginning of the race, and then all that will do will allow Carpenter to get close, and then he'll be in the battle as well, and then it'll be 3 cars going for the victory, and maybe a Ferrari won't even win the race. So definitely the Ferrari team will be wanting the 2 drivers to be finishing 1 and 2, and it looks likely at the moment is Bernatsky. I think that's on the back of Davison coming into turn 1. Will he make a move here? Davison not going defensive, but Bernatsky being really late on the brakes, almost making contact. Is he going to be able to hold it round the outside? No, he's going to go for the cutback, not seeming to have the turn in, but he will have the run here up towards turn 4. Davison once again not going defensive, showing the inside. Is Bernatsky going to win the battle on the brakes? Davison's trying to hold it round the outside, Bernatsky getting loose on exit, and Davison's holding the positions. 2 of these drivers are being fierce competitors at the moment and showing us a nice battle.
Yeah, I think Scott goes wide there off the circuit and he's locked up, and I think it's only a matter of time before Sesame actually gets past. It was a really good move by Scott around the outside of Sesame, but I think his tyres just caught on the inside of the of turn 3, I think, and that just caused him to get a big tank slapper, but I think Scott's made a mistake there on the back straight. He's almost put it in the wall, and you can see how far across the right of the track he is. And I think that's position lost as they head into this corner, and there's been contact between the two drivers there. And I think Sesmir, he might have suspension damage. As you can see, Shepherd is right behind these two now. He's going to get a really nice cut back through this corner. He might even go down the inside here. He's locked the brake, and that he's passed 2 cars in just 2 corners, and it was a big hit between those 2 drivers there.
It just seemed like a miscommunication between the both of them. I can't really tell what happened if if Bernatsky turned in on Davison on the apex, or it was really hard to see from the camera angle we had, but they've just cost each other a position, and Davison's lost 2 then as he peels into the pits. Probably the best option for him. I wonder if he's got damage, because lap 8 is a really, really early pit stop.
Yeah, it was a really big hit between those two. I'm wondering if these two actually have damage. As you see Sesmir going up the inside of Shepherd there. Shepherd's not really defending. I think he was trying to make a cutback into turn 2 and 3, but it's not really worked as well as he thought he would. As you see these two drivers starting to battle now, these drivers are battling for 8th and 9th positions. You see Sesmir going a little bit wide through that corner, and Shepherd's got a better run heading into the S's now. Sesmir almost runs into him as they're going wheel to wheel through the S's, and they're still head to head now, heading into this heavy braking zone. Sesmir's locking his brakes. He's still on the outside. He's got a better run through that corner, a much better racing line there. And these drivers are battling hammer and tong just for this position. It's not even for any real points positions. As you see Sesmir going up the inside again. Shepherd's got a better run onto the back straight as they're heading down into our heavy braking zone, heading wheel to wheel still. They've been about wheel to wheel for probably half the lap or so. And as Shepherd goes up the inside, I think that is just about the move done. It's been an incredible battle between these two so far over just 1 lap.
Bernatsky's close though, so he might be able to make a move into the second to last corner. He's ran deep, and he's maybe gave up the opportunity for that move. And you can see a replay here of Kieran Chadwick, probably an overtaking move on that's Gomez in the Lotus, and diving late, almost hitting into the back. That's incredible that he managed to slow that car down, and Gomez off, and I think I can't quite tell if he hit that wall. He's definitely going to have damage though.
The camera just cut off though. Did he save that, or it looked like he was heading straight into the wall?
He had a mega save earlier in the race, so I don't think can you quite see from the camera. I think he does have some damage to that front nose cone, so he's definitely going to have to make a pit stop. And that's Carpenter in the Williams. He's off into the gravel. Can he keep the car running? Yes, he does. I think he just caught a moment of oversteer with the car, and instead of losing the car, he's ran wide, and he's actually lost a lot of time to the cars in front, about 5 seconds, and Martinez is now only 2 seconds behind him as Matt Shepherd's making a move on Bernatsky. Once again, these two are still battling between each other, and that's Bernatsky going to try and hold it around the outside into turn 3 here. Yes, he makes the move stick, but will Shepherd come back at him into turn 4? I don't quite think he's close enough.
He's close enough, but I just don't think he's going to go for a move. He could have made a move there. He was definitely close enough in the braking zone, but he's still battling. And they seem to have very similar pace at the moment, but Sesmir's definitely defending very well at the moment. He runs a little bit wide. You can see Shepherd's all over his gearbox at the very back of him. I think Shepherd's got a little bit of better traction, but he gets a little bit of a wiggle heading onto that corner. Now heading into the heavy braking zone, probably the most difficult corner, and he's gone up the inside. Shepherd's gone up the inside, and he's got a better line through that corner as they head onto the back straight. They're still wheel to wheel. It's been a battle for the last 2 laps, and they're still equal, probably in terms of pace as well. I think Shepherd's going down the inside. Sesmir tried to hang it around the outside there, but he just didn't have enough grip. He had a little bit of a tank slapper there. It's been an incredible battle between those two over the past 2 laps.
Yeah, they're definitely making up for the front 2 drivers not battling in the races. Martinez is now closing in on Carpenter. You can see he's reeled in him half a second on that last lap, so Martinez is definitely flying as they approach a back marker. I can't quite tell who that is. And Gomez actually did have damage, and he's came into the pits on the last lap to repair that, so he's definitely...
I think it's Crespo.
Yeah, I think that is Crespo. Yeah, you're right. But Martinez is now going to be held up from him in the middle sector. He's going to lose a lot of time stuck behind this car. I think he'll
slide out the inside here, yep.
Yeah, really nicely done from Crespo. Really well getting out the way. So Martinez not really losing any time. As you can see the gap now between the 2 front runners, just over 2 seconds between the two Ferrari drivers, so managing that gap well, Baxter is, and you can see there's Carpenter and Martinez, so that gap between those two drivers is now less than a second, so we're going to probably see one of them making a move on the other very, very soon.
Oh, do you think it's coming up to pit stop time? Do you think Tom will try and go for the undercut on Sam?
Well, if he has the outright pace, he might go for the overtake.
It's a possible one stop. I think a few drivers will definitely be going for a two stop as they're locking up quite a lot, and that's going to have a bit of an effect on the tyre wear as well. But you can see Tom is definitely closer to Sam Carpenter now, as you see the two Ferraris streak ahead in front, and it just shows how big of a gap these two drivers have at the moment. I think Sam was definitely following them through in the first probably 8 laps, and you can just see he's dropped back a lot after that big mistake, so I think his pace has definitely dropped off a lot.
Yeah, Sam, if you've seen on the back or the main straight there, Sam had slipstream on Richard Taylor, the Sauber, so Tom wasn't able to get close enough to make a move into turn 1, but you've seen the brake smoke there from Carpenter, so he's definitely struggling with the brakes, or the tyres at least, so he's definitely going to be losing time, and I think his best option is to actually pit early, because it looks like he's definitely struggling at the moment, and I think maybe trying to make the second stint go long, because the mediums here, they last pretty well, and I would say the tyre life is okay to be able to take it to the end here, although it will be a bit difficult at the end. And you can see Davison, he's not really hitting his apexes, but he's still managing to keep up with Gomez in front, so the damage Gomez has is definitely putting him at a disadvantage as Davison comes with the slipstream. Will he make a move? Gomez goes defensive into turn 1. Davison, really late braking manoeuvre, and he's managed to hold that round the outside. That's an incredible move there by Davison, as Gomez almost loses the car once again. He's managed to pull off probably one of the overtakes of the day right there.
And it was weird because Gomez defended really early again, and we've seen that before in the race, where he pulled to the inside very early. I think he just misunderestimates the power of the slipstream. Really, it doesn't really kick in until you're pretty close to the driver, but he seems to be defending quite early into the corner. I think that cost him probably the position, because he didn't really get a good line through that corner, and that allowed Scott to just go right around his outside. So
Martinez on the back of Carpenter here though into turn 1.
And I think it was driver mistake from Gomez, but you see Tom Martinez, he's right in the back of Sam now. Sam's definitely struggling with these tyres. He might be going off, or he might be struggling with brake wear, as his track is quite heavy on brakes. As you see Tom and Sam, they're heading wheel to wheel into turn 3 now. I think Sam's just about going to hold it. Is he going to hold it around the outside? I don't think he is, and I think that's position lost, so Tom moves up into the podium positions.
So after starting on the back of the grid, he's now up into 3rd position, albeit 8.5 seconds behind the two leaders, so they're definitely... Tom has definitely got some work to do if he wants to get on the podium, and I wonder if Carpenter will have anything to say, or if this is the right time for Carpenter to pit now, because he can't seem to keep up with Martinez there, and you can see I think that's Bernatsky making his first pit stop, so that's the first driver that's currently running without made any mistakes that's pitted, and we'll see more drivers come in now, and that's Gomez and Davison. So Gomez has definitely lost a lot of ground on the guys in the front after that spin. He's lost a lot of positions. He's now fighting instead of fighting for a podium, he's now fighting for the lower half of the points.
I think Sam is probably thinking right now, should I really be pitting, like just trying the undercut and maybe the two-stop, because he's not really got anything to lose at the moment. He's 9 seconds behind the leaders. He was probably trying to fight for the race win, and I think the leaders will probably be going on a one-stop probably. I think they're not really been battling, so their tyres are probably pretty well maintained at the moment. So
yeah, you can see Braque here. He's having a quiet race amongst himself.
He's in the points though, so I think he'll be happy with that. I think is this his first race in the league so far?
Well, right now he's racing, with the Red Bull team, and he's just having a comfortable race by himself. So as a first race and racing in the points, that's a really good start for him at the moment.
As you see, Fred Bodden looking back at him, the gap I think is slightly open to Craig Baxter, but not too much. I think the drivers will be looking to actually pit quite soon, depending if they're doing a 1 or 2 stop. If they're doing a 2 stop, they're probably going to pit this lap. But if they're doing a 1 stop, they could probably get the tyres to the end. Yeah, definitely 16 laps. That's easily doable on the medium tyre.
It depends it depends how fast the medium tyre is, because the soft tyre might be faster even when it's worn than the medium tyre, because a lot of drivers having issues like heating the tyres up. That's definitely been a problem for some of the drivers. You can see on the back of Baxter here, he's just looking back and you can't even see Carpenter or Martinez behind, so they're definitely eking out the gap, and you can see Baxter locking up the rear right, that is. So these drivers will be hoping to pit soon, I'm guessing, as I think that's Martinez peeling into the pit, so
yes,
he's the first one to crack.
I think Sam's following him, and Martinez is into the pits. It's going to be interesting to see what tyres he puts on, if he's going for a 1 or a 2 stop. I think he's going to put on the... Can you see what tyres he's on?
Both drivers put on the medium compound tyre.
So... Or is that soft on my screen, or is that just a...
That's just a bug with the game.
Okay,
both drivers have put on medium, yeah. Both drivers are on the mediums.
So both drivers probably going for 1 stop then. So it's going to be interesting. I think Tom's actually came out right behind his teammates, or will his teammate actually let him back through? I think he should.
I think Neil's still to pit as well.
So I think he should probably let him past if he's... I think they are communicating during the race, so I think Tom will be on the radio saying, "Let me pass, I don't want to get held up. Sam's right behind me." So it'll be interesting to see if he does let him pass at the moment.
Yeah, you can see they're coming into this complex in the middle sector. You can see Nell's definitely losing a lot of ground because he's on worn soft tyres. You can see the traction difference in Tom is, that as we thought, Nell just letting him through, and now he'll be holding up Carpenter behind, I guess, unless he peels into the pits less lap. But you can see Carpenter's definitely lost a lot of time to Martinez in that pit stop, so it seems like he's had a slow pit stop from the Williams
slow
crew.
outlap as well. He seems to have lost probably a second or two. As you see Craig Baxter folding into the pits now, it's interesting that he's pitting instead of Fred. Do you think that was a team decision just because Fred had better tyres?
Yeah, quite possibly Fred had better tyres, but Baxter really needs to cover off Martinez because he doesn't want him to gain too much on him. I would say that's probably what the decision was there, and I think Bodden had a big enough gap to not be undercut, because the gap was at 2.8 seconds, so the two, I don't really see Baxter, unless Bodden has a really, really bad in-lap and a bad pit stop. I don't see Baxter actually making the move into turn 1, or even being ahead into turn 1 after Bodden makes his pit stop. But
we have seen in previous races the undercut is quite powerful, but we're still to see how powerful it is on this circuit. I think we saw in the Australian Grand Prix where where Craig actually undercut Sam, and that basically won him the race. So it was interesting to see there.
Yeah, I definitely think that these drivers are pushing as hard as they can. You can see Baxter, he's not really had the cleanest of outlaps though. So, and I think that's Chadwick after making a pit stop. He's came out behind Shepherd, who I don't know if he's yet to pit or if he has pit. If he has, he's undercut a few drivers, definitely, but I can't see that he's managed to gain that amount of positions. Is Chadwick's going to make that move once again? And does he make it stick? The both drivers are going side by side here, and if Chadwick, I think Chadwick does have the new fresh rubber into turn 10.
Yeah,
you can see
Shepherd hasn't pitted yet. I think he went long on his tyres. He's going to one stop it and then put on a set of medium tyres for the last 14 laps, so should be fine for Shepherd, but he's lost position there. He wasn't really fighting too hard, to be honest, but he wasn't letting him through either. As you see Fred Bodden into the pits now, I think he's going to be going with the same strategy as Craig there. Going on to the
coming along the straight now. Will he be able to get past? No, not quite.
And you can see Fred Bodden has come out of the pits now. He's still leading the race, but I think the gap to Craig Baxter has actually been reduced quite a lot. So you can see the undercut slightly working, but Fred will be on 1 lap near tyres, so he should be a little bit quicker. But you can see there Sam locking up into turn 1. He's not gained too much time on Tom, and I think he might actually be dropping back a little bit.
That's a Sauber in the back there, getting loose coming out the final corner.
Is that
almost
Richard Taylor?
Yeah, I think that's Richard Taylor almost losing the car. It seemed like a mega save as well. A lot of drivers on the edge, and I think that's Shepherd coming into the pits. And the battle with Bernatsky might be resumed again.
And will Sesmir get past? I think he will. They're going to head into turn 1, and Sesmir is past. So I think Sesmir pitting maybe a few laps earlier, that gained him back the position, but I think Shepherd's probably going to be on the newest tyres out of anyone in this race. I think he was probably one of the last people to pit on lap 15 or 16, so he should be quite quick at the moment on those fresher tyres.
You can see Baxter's definitely closed the gap with that undercut just over a second, but will he be able to get close enough with the dirty air? Because you've seen in the last sector a lot of drivers struggling and actually losing time when they follow the car in front, and obviously it's going to heat up the brakes, it's going to heat up the tyres, and it's going to cause more wear. So inevitably, is he going to even be able to make an overtaking move in the last sector? Is he going to have to? Is he going to have to do it?
It all depends on that.
Or where do you think?
All depends on the traction on the last corner, because that's probably one of the best overtaking spots is down to turn 1, but depends the runs you get out of these corners. If Fred makes a mistake also, he might also close up. We're on board with Shepherd here. He's having to lift off quite a lot on these cold tyres. I'm not quite sure if they're cold still, but I think there's just probably dirty air, but he's closed up to Sesmir now, and he might be close enough to not quite make a move into the last corner, but probably make a move on the next straight. He's closing up still on the braking zone. As he comes out the last corner now, he's going to have a great run on Sesbir now down into turn 1. I think he might actually be able to make a move down into turn 1 or even before turn 1.
He's going to have to really go late in the brakes if he wants to go for a move. Now, thinks better of it. You can see the brake smoke from Bernatsky missing his braking point there, so Shepherd's definitely closing in on him, putting Bernatsky under pressure, but he's still holding the position, and you've seen it earlier in the stint. Bernatsky was able to defend really well, hold the position, and even come back at Shepherd when he had to, and now he's out in front after the pit stop. So I think right now Shepherd's going to be lapping faster, but if he can stay in front and maybe force Shepherd to try and get it close, he can wear his tyres worse. As you can see, Taylor letting the two drivers past with ease so they can get on with their battle, but as I was saying, maybe he's planning on cooking Shepherd's tyre behind him, and hope maybe that'll stop Shepherd going faster.
Has Richard got damage, or is he just locking up quite a lot? Is that just me? Because he seems to be struggling at through every single corner here. I know that's the most difficult corner of the lap, but he seems to be struggling quite a lot at the moment.
Well, he's only been lapped once, so it's not like he's behind by a lot, but he does seem to be struggling, as you said.
But anyway, that battle with Sesmir and Shepherd, I think at the moment the tyre difference between the two, I think it's about a 4-lap difference between the times they put on their tyres. I think that's going to make a lot of difference by the end of the race. Sesmir, he doesn't need to really, he can hold Shepherd behind at the moment, but I think Shepherd by the end of the race, he's going to be much, much quicker. They were definitely probably equal pace before the race, but I think in the next few laps you'll really see the difference in terms of pace and tyre wear between those two.
Yeah, Shepherd's definitely getting closer to him over the course of this lap. You can see Carpenter though, look at the amount of time he's lost to Martinez in front, so it's hard to tell if he's actually struggling with the car, but you've seen him out of turn 4, he almost lost it under acceleration. The car just seemed to wiggle as Shepherd's actually managed to get past Bernatsky, and so I'd like to see that move if we could, but it seems like Shepherd's actually managed to get past and he's pulling a gap.
It's probably turn one or turn 2 he got past. I'm not quite sure where he actually made that move, but he did make that move. We didn't quite see where he actually made, but heading down into turn 8 or 9, I'm not quite sure which corner that is, but heading onto the straight now. Sesmir's not dropped back too much, but he's still in the slipstream. But this is the point in the track where the dirty air really starts to take effect. Through this fast technical section, you're really going to see drivers dropping back in the dirty air. As you can see, Sesmir's already started to drop back a little bit, and that's just how bad the dirty air is on this track, or just this section really.
Yeah, you can see the race leader though on lap 19. He's had a really comfortable race so far, and I think that's Baraki. He's actually coming up to lap for the first time in this race, so hopefully he gets out of the way just fine, and I expect him to do so as well. Bodden's had an almost perfect race so far. He's lapping very fast, and he's also managing to keep his teammate behind him for now, and you can hopefully we can see the gap. Yeah, it's just over a second and a half now, so he's managed to eke out a couple of tenths over the course of these laps, so I would say he's definitely the fastest guy on the track at the moment. It's really close, but I would say he's definitely one of, if not the fastest driver on the track at the moment.
Do you think Baxter could be dropping back to save his tyres and then push later in the race? Because there's 10 laps left.
That's
He could be dropping back to
that's a
save the
possibility.
tyres.
That is a possibility.
Or even be fuel saving if he's maybe short on fuel, or if he's wanting to save some more boost one for later in the race. So yeah, it could be dropping back just to save pace and then push later in the race.
That would definitely seem to be a sensible move, and hope that maybe Bodden makes a mistake or he damages his tyres badly. But the problem for Baxter is, as soon as he gets close, the dirt air is going to really affect almost everything in the car. It's going to affect, as we see a replay though of Carpenter. He's had a moment coming out of turn 3, and you can see he's got in the curb and he's actually lost the car and put it in the wall. So
big accident there for Carpenter, and that's probably cost him a podium.
He's now coming down the second to last straight. So you can see him here.
He's locked both tyres. Yep, that's probably expected, as you've not got a front wing, but that's cost him a lot of time, and he's going to have to pit again for repairs. And you can see DeWaldo in the background. I think is that for position?
That is for position. Carpenter's down into P6 and he still has to get repaired as well, so his races went from bad to worse now.
Yeah, it's these little mistakes from Sam that's really cost him the race. There was a mistake at turn 2 where he lost the car. He didn't go into the wall, but he lost a lot of time. That allowed Tom to basically move up and pass him later in the race. And that mistake there, he went into the wall, he's had to pit again, and he needs to make sure you can see his chassis is completely bent out of shape, which looks a wee bit strange, but he's dropped back, I think, behind Shepherd and Zesty. He's going to have to... He's put on the soft tyre.
He's now got to catch, pass Bernatsky and pass his teammate.
Does he have enough laps to do that, do you think?
Well, it's going to be close, because you can see Gomez losing the car once again, and he's in the wall. That's Gomez. He's got to be out of the race. Yeah, Gomez is now out of the race. That's the second time today he lost the car under acceleration out of that corner. So it just seems that he doesn't have he doesn't feel comfortable anyway with the throttle coming out of that corner and the traction with the car.
Alright, he was having trouble on the brakes as well, so he was just struggling all around to drive the car. Really, he was struggling earlier in the race, and he seems to still be struggling, and that caused the accident. I think it was just these cars, you go on the throttle a little bit too early, and you will pay for it, because the torque is so large that essentially it's hard to control the throttle, basically. But looking back at, I think, is this for position between Davison and...
Brachy, yeah, this is for the final point.
So, should be an interesting battle between these two. I think they're quite similar on paces. You see Brachy clumping over that big curb at turn 8 or 9. And it's not a big battle in terms of the championship, but I think these two, they've not really had too many battles during this race, so I think they'll just try and have some fun at the moment.
Well, Red Bull are yet to score any points in the championship, which is surprising, but you would hope that they would be able to at least get a few points on the board, and Bracky's their first shot at that, so they're definitely going to be pushing to get past Davison here, or hoping maybe one of the front runners or one of the other drivers, because if Carpenter can keep the car on track and he doesn't retire the car, then maybe Bracky will get in the points anyway. So, but he's definitely want to get as many positions as possible. You can see Baxter missing his apex in turn 1, but still, that's Bodden in front. Baxter's actually lost over a second on the last lap, so I wonder if he's deliberately dropping back, as you said, or he's just struggling.
He's missed that apex as well, so is it driver mistakes, or just the brakes, or are they starting to go? Or
is he
tires?
pushing too hard? Maybe
is
he maybe just pushing too hard?
I'm not quite sure. He seems to be pushing quite a bit. He's made that apex, so he's making some apexes, but he's making little driver mistakes that are costing him a little bit of time to Fred, and I don't know if it's car troubles or just driver mistakes. I'm not quite sure on that.
He seemed to be making those last two with no issues, so maybe just pushing too hard for that first sector, trying to catch up to Bodden in front. But yeah, you can see it seems to be okay now, so maybe just overheating on the brakes or just overheating on the tyres for the first sector, but he seems to be okay now, and he'll be trying to mount a battle towards Fred towards the end of the race now. He's got to try something so he can get past. So what would you try to get past Bodden at this stage?
I'm not sure, because you don't want to push too much, because you're going to overheat your tyres and screw up your tyres, but you've got to push to an extent where you're keeping the person in front under pressure, because otherwise they're just going to peel away and you're not going to catch them. So it'll be interesting to see what Craig does in these final few laps, whether he pushes 100% or whether he drops back and then pushes maybe in the last 5 laps. But he's running out of laps here to actually overtake Fred, so I don't know what he's going to do at the moment.
Does he seem... I don't think he seems to have the ultimate pace to catch him at the moment as well, though.
Yeah, I don't think he does. He's been just following... I'm not sure if there's team orders at the start, whether to just maintain position, then maybe battle later in the race, but I'm not quite sure if he has the pace to really overtake Fred at the moment. He might do. He might just be sandbagging maybe a little bit and then unleashing maybe a faster fuel mix later in the race to catch him, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah,
you can see Bracky's struggling with the brakes as well. You can see him locking up a lot. That's the 3rd time already this lap, so luckily on rFactor 1 you don't really get flat spots. So
he's made that corner fine.
Yeah, it just seems a lot of drivers struggling with locking up, so it's interesting to see. As you can see, Ben Sale though in the McLaren, he's in the points still. He's had probably one of the, if not the most quiet race in the entire grid, so he'll be happy though with scoring a couple of points, and he's almost being lapped though. You can see Baxter's actually drawn the gap down, so he definitely does have the pace, I would say, to mount a fight. But is Bodden possibly fuel saving, or is Baxter just really fast at the moment?
I'm not quite sure. I think that's Bracky making a move on to the back of Davison there. And will he have a run down to turn 1? Bracky's definitely got slipstream, and you can see the gain into turn 1. I think he's definitely going to be close enough to make a move, and he goes down the inside. They're going to head wheel to wheel into turn 1. I think Bracky has actually gone too deep there, and he almost collected, and as Bracky's, he just about span there, and it's a bit of a miscommunication. Do you think
he's going to have another go? He's going to have another go into turn 4. He's actually passed. He's up into the points, so after having a half spin he's managed to gain the position.
Well, it's not quite over. Davison's got a good run out of turn 3, and he's going to have a look down the inside of the S's, but not quite close enough there to make the move. But it's an interesting battle at turn 1. It seemed that Bracky, he just lost control of the brakes, really. He went wide, he almost collected Davison, really, and there was almost quite a big crash between the two. It was weird.
Carpenter running in P8 then after not a great race so far. You can see that's Bernatsky up in front and his teammate Shepherd, so if he wants to score some good points and get in the top 5, I just don't think it's possible at the moment. He's not lapping fast enough. He's only lapping a couple of tenths faster than his teammate at the moment.
Oh, he's on the softer tyre, and I'm assuming he's going to be in the faster fuel mix, to be honest, because I think he'll be really annoyed from that driver mistake earlier on, which caused him to go in the wall, but he'll really be wanting to get past these two drivers, especially his teammate. He doesn't want his teammate to really overtake him and beat him in the race, really. But yeah, it's going to be... do you think Shepherd will let him pass later in the race, if he does catch up?
Well, if it comes to it, it's just the start of the championship. It's only round 4, so I don't see why team orders would come into play this early. As Baxter's went straight on, he's just completely missed his braking point there.
He didn't lock up. I don't think he locked up into that corner. And has his brakes gone?
There's a possibility of his brakes may be gone, but you seen he didn't, as you said, he didn't lock up.
Corner.
He seemed to make that corner fine.
Very strange that he went straight on. I didn't see a lot of brake smoke there, but he's braking very early, and he's just about made that corner with a lot of understeer, and his brakes seem to not be working at their best at the moment.
Definitely not, as we can see coming into this high-speed corner. I think his brakes are gone. The brakes seem to be the brakes definitely seem to have gone. He broke early and he still couldn't make the corner.
We'll see later in these corners if his brakes are actually working into this corner. No, he's gone wide again. I think his brakes have went completely gone, because there was a few corners on that lap there where he just didn't...
You can see Martinez closing in as well. Martinez has gained almost 2 seconds in these last 2 sectors.
Do you think Craig will be able to carry on the race?
There's 3 laps to go, and with if it's only one break possibly, but the other brakes might
turn
be
one
on the
here,
edge.
it's going to be... He's braking very early there. And he's still not made the corner. I think his brakes are completely gone.
Yeah, it seems like he has absolutely no brakes whatsoever. Martinez there, Martinez is going to overtake him.
Yeah, he is, because look at the pace advantage at the moment that Martinez has at the moment, and he's not made this corner either. He's just gone straight on. His brakes have completely gone. Like, I don't know what has happened there, whether he's overheated, and I think he span. And has he kept the engine running? Yes, he has, but he's going to spin it back around, and I think he may have to retire from this race because he's losing far too much time at the moment.
After what could have been
brakes.
second place or maybe even first, he's looking at a possible retirement if he can't finish this race. So, and yeah, he's off. He's off. He's in the wall.
He's not making any corner. He's into wall. And that is Baxter out of the race after basically being in second for the entire race. And you see Bracky there. I think he's also having brake trouble. So are we starting to see a few of the cars starting to have brake troubles here?
It definitely looks like it. As you can see, he managed to make that apex okay, but a lot of drivers on the radio complaining about brakes overheating and not being able to get on the brakes full pressure. But now that a few drivers have seen that's Bracky. Bracky's gone as well.
Bracky's missed that corner as well.
Bracky's brakes are gone as well, so he's had a quiet race, hardly any battling, and his brakes have went as well.
We'll see up this corner. His brakes have completely gone. And similar to Craig, he's not really getting into any apexes here. We're on board with Tom. Be interesting to see if his brakes are actually starting to go. And
he's missed it. Is Martinez's brakes failed as well? This could be. This could allow some of the drivers who have never scored good points to get a chance at a possible podium if Martinez's brakes have failed.
There's three. We're on the third last lap here.
He's going to be on the wall.
I think he is. He's tried to spin it around and he's hit his rear wing off. But I think
he's going to be stuck in the gravel. Martinez is out of the race as well. So after what could have been the most clean race for both of those drivers, a really good comeback drive for Martinez is now ended up with him in the gravel and DNFing because of the brake failure. And Chadwick now, who started last place, is now in second after two drivers DNFing in front of him because of brake failures. This race has just been crazy. Will there be any more brake failures?
Oh, we've got 3 or 2.5 laps left, so it's going to be interesting to see if we do. But two drivers in just 2 laps, it's very weird that it would happen in that similar time in the race. It's weird having that many brake failures. Normally, you'd probably only see one.
Bracky is now out of the race as well, so that's three drivers in the space of a lap and a half.
3 drivers. It's very interesting, but you can see Carpenter's right in the back of his teammate Max Shepard. As you see Shepard also locking up to that corner. I wonder if his brakes are starting to go as well. You see Carpenter behind Shepard. He's not gaining too much, which is strange as he's on near tyres.
Is the damage to the front of the car slowing him down in a straight line possibly?
It could be, but he's in the dirt air now of Shepard. You can just see how much he's got to lift off the throttle just to get through that corner. Shepard locking his brakes but still hitting the apex, throwing into that corner. But there's a tyre advantage that Carpenter has at the moment. It's just a matter of time. Do you think he'll be able to get past? I don't think Shepard's really going to let him past, as he knows that a few drivers ahead have DNF'd. So they're running in 4th and 5th at the moment, but I don't think Shepard will actually let his teammate past, even though it's going to count a lot in the championship.
Definitely not for now, because Carpenter's still, if these positions stick, then I think Carpenter's still going to be leading the championship as Shepard goes defensive into turn 1, holding the position well. And I don't think on that back straight in the speed trap, Carpenter's with slipstream still down on Shepard, so that front wing
he's not
damage
getting too much into turn 3, but Shepard's gone straight on. Has his brakes failed? And they're going to head wheel to wheel now into the S's. 2 teammates battling wheel to wheel, and they're just about, I think Carpenter's just about going to get ahead, but with the camera cut off there. On board with Fred Bodden though, and he is heading on to, I believe, the last lap of the race. Depends if his brakes actually fail though, but he seems to be having no troubles at the moment. He's braking early.
He's ran deep. Bodden's brakes have failed as well, and he's got a whole lap to complete with little to no brakes. Do you have the gap? It's DeWald now, who started in 13th position, is now in P3, Chadwick is in P2, so Chadwick's the next person behind him, and it's just over 22 seconds, so that's still a big gap. Well, I think if he can keep it together, he should be able to come round the final corner.
I think this is going to be Carpenter's last chance to probably overtake Shepherd here, but you can see along the straights, he's not gaining, and he's just not gaining along these straights. So does he have an engine problem or something? And there's Toro Rosso coming up the pits also, but a lot of car failures here, engine problems, failures of the brakes. It seems to be a very, very weird Grand Prix so far.
Yeah, definitely. You can see Carpenter closing up on the brakes. They are having a big lock-up, but will there be any more drivers who fall out of this race on the last lap? You can see Carpenter definitely isn't as fast as a straight line as his teammate. That's either down to the damage or that's down to maybe engine wear. And that's Chadwick. Chadwick from P2 is off. That's going to allow Shepherd a chance at a podium.
And the two Williams are passed. The Williams are passed.
That's going to allow Shepherd a chance at a podium as Fred Bodden comes round the final corner.
And he's managed. He's gone off, but
Bodden's going to take the victory in what could have been one of the most boring races has turned into probably one of the most exciting of the season. So many brake failures, so many car troubles, and Bodden coming across the line with little to no brakes.
It's going to be interesting to see that the two Williams, they're still battling it out. Carpenter's right on the back of Shepherd as we head into the final two corners now. Will Shepherd be able to carry through with that position? I think he's locked his brakes still, so he's probably got failing brakes as well. But you can see Carpenter just on the straights. He's absolutely nowhere. It's like he's got a Renault engine or something. He's heading to the last corner. Oh, they just about avoid contact, but it could have been a bad accident, but you could see Shepherd wiggling his wheel in celebration at getting his first podium in the championship. It's a Williams 3-4 there, but Carpenter completely totals his car.
Yeah, DeWall Nell, and amongst of all this, has actually crossed the line in P2, and Bernatsky in P5, so he's managed to keep his qualifying position. He's going to be extremely happy with that.
What an incredible end to the race. Just in those last 5 laps, we saw drivers' brakes failing. You can see Ben Sale is actually going to probably cross the line in 6th position. So despite it being quite a dull race, he's going to get some really, really good points from McLaren.
Wow, what an incredible race. Yeah, what an incredible race as Bodden comes around to come into the pits and line up for the podium with absolutely no brakes on that car. Still managed to bring the car around on the final lap of the race. What an incredible race it was. Thanks, Mac, for the commentary. And hopefully the next race will be just as good. After 29 laps of the Sakhir International Circuit, Fred Bodden takes the victory ahead of DeWald Nell in second place, reserving for the Mercedes team. Max Shepherd finishes the podium off in third position for the Williams Mercedes team. Behind was Sam Carpenter, his teammate, unable to get past on the final lap, finishing 2/10 behind him. Sesmir Bernatsky matched his qualifying position and finished 5th, which is good for the Mana Marussia team, getting points on the board finally, 10 points for him. Ben Sale finished 6th, so really good result for McLaren as well to keep up in the constructors' fight. Quiet and calm race allowed him to get those points. Kieran Chadwick DNF, but managed to lap Scott Davidson, Richard Taylor, so he finished in front of them. The cars who DNF'd here, most of them due to brake failures, which wasn't the driver's fault as it was a fixed setup, so some of them will be awarded points in the positions that they DNF'd when they had their brake failures. Gomez, Crespo and Mangan all crashed out due to driver error. Fred Bodden with the fastest lap of the race though, and the victory as well. Sam Carpenter still leads the championships, 7 points ahead of Fred Bodden now. Craig Baxter in 3rd, dropping down a position as well. Callum Knighton in 4th though still after unable to attend this Grand Prix. Kieran Chadwick in 5th now ahead of Max Shepherd. Liam Mangan leads the bottom half of the driver standings after round 4. Sesmir Bernatsky up into 12th after scoring some good points. Richard Taylor and Scott Davison really close, and the other drivers yet to score any points. The constructor standing after round 4, Ferrari lead the way ahead of Williams and Mercedes. Force India in 4th now and McLaren in 5th. Lotus now are under attack from Mana Marussia, who have their first points from Sesmir Bernatsky. Sauber in 8th and Toro Rosso in 9th. Those two are going to be battling head to head throughout the remainder of the season, and let's hope Red Bull Racing can get some points on the board. Join us for round 5 then, of the Nebula rFactor Championship, where we go around the Red Bull Ring for 40 laps on the 20th of June. We hope it will be just as thrilling as this one, and we'll hope to see you guys there in the next one. Thanks for watching.